Chapter 1: The stunning beauty in the coffin. In the midsummer night, the cool moonlight streams down from the large floor-to-ceiling windows, reflecting on the soft carpet like gold. The night wind mischievously flapped the white transparent window screen. Everyone has fallen into a sweet sleep. Lillian is no exception. The cool breeze blew directly into the room, causing her to roll over comfortably, and fell into a deep sleep with the plush doll on the bed. The wind gradually stopped, but Lillian found herself in a magical place. Seeing nothing on the empty land, Lillian looked around curiously. But I couldn't help but wonder in my heart, why is it here again? It's so familiar. It really feels so familiar. This is already the 10th time she has entered this kind of place. Every time she entered here, she only stayed for less than 10 minutes before the scene in front of her suddenly disappeared. But this time it seemed to be a little different. She followed the lines on the ground, little by little, and cautiously poked forward. When her legs were stepping into this strange land, everything in front of me is slowly changing. The sun gradually set in the west, and on the dark and open ground, countless beams of light were sprayed into the sky, like golden horns blasting in unison in the sky. Later, it finally sank, and the orange-red clouds dyed the entire empty land red. Not far away, blood-red Lillian bloomed in the open land, just like her name, Lillian, the brightest flower that blooms at night. Every step she took, the Lillian bloomed brighter and brighter. Lillian was extremely pleasantly surprised, but she had no fear at all. Maybe it's because this flower is exactly the same as my own name. She looked at this piece of bright red and felt very kind. The bright red flowers are in full bloom on the branches. The color is so thick, so pure, without any variegated color. Just like a burning flame, a gust of wind blew, and the Lillian shook a few times. It looked so charming, like a girl in a flower skirt dancing gracefully. Lillian couldn't help but be a little obsessed with it. Looking around, the poor land just now became vivid and lively. Wherever the line of sight went, they were all infected by patches of bright red Lillian. However, there is a place in this bright red that looks out of place with this Lillian flower. Driven by strong curiosity, Lillian boldly walked to that special place, surrounded by a large field of Lillian. A deep black coffin was quietly placed in it, perhaps because of the background of the Lillian. Lillian not only didn't feel scared, but was even more curious about what kind of person was lying in that coffin. She quickened her pace and walked to the coffin. However, the scene in front of her left her speechless in astonishment. The one lying in the coffin turned out to be a man. Oh, no. It wasn't just a man, that is a handsome guy. A stunningly handsome guy who is so handsome that even a nun would return to vulgarity after seeing him. But why would such a good-looking and enchanting man lie in this cold coffin? Could it be a dead person? Lillian squatted down, put her pink face close to the left side of the coffin, and observed the handsome guy inside the coffin closely. Light blue bangs flashed in front of her eyes, and her exquisite facial features were absolutely beautiful. The straight nose bridge and lightly pursed lips unexpectedly formed a charming face, as pure as a newborn baby. Chapter 2: Obsidian Skull Ring. Straight nose bridge, fair skin, clear expression, pure face like a newborn baby. Like the handsome boy in my memory that is as dazzling as the summer sun. Lillian's heart suddenly trembled suddenly. It's such a pity that such a handsome and evil man ruined his life at such a young age. If he appeared in front of him alive at this moment, well, she thought she would throw herself into his arms without hesitation. These days, if there is an advantage, don't take advantage of it. Besides, there is absolutely no harm in taking advantage of the handsome guy. It's a pity, alas. It's a pity he can't move. Lillian was really curious about what kind of charming scene those closed eyes would look the moment they opened. His eyes must be so beautiful, right? Huh, this ring is so beautiful. Sensing the stimulation of the strong light, Lillian's gaze gradually shifted from that handsome face to the man's right hand. It was found that a black skull ring was shining on the knuckle of the man's ring finger. Obsidian skull ring. Lillian exclaimed again, and leaned forward, taking off the obsidian skull ring that was on the ring finger of the handsome guy, Lillian played with the ring and looked it over carefully. A skull pattern is engraved on the front of the ring, and a Chinese name is engraved on the inside of the ring. Daniel. This Daniel should be the name of the handsome guy lying in the coffin. The more Lillian looked at it, the more she liked it. So she casually put the ring on her ring finger. I didn't expect the size to be surprisingly suitable. The black skull shone with dazzling light the moment the quilt was put on Lillian's fingers. The strong light had already dazzled her so much that she couldn't open her eyes. After about a minute or so, the black glare gradually faded away, only the ring on the ring finger was emitting a faint red light. She really likes this skull ring very much. Moreover, wearing this ring on her finger is even more beautiful and dazzling than wearing it on the hand of that handsome guy who has already had game over. It was almost as if it was tailor-made for her. And the mysterious man who had been lying in the coffin blinked slightly with his eyelashes as dense as butterfly wings. In less than a few seconds, both eyes suddenly opened. He straightened up from the coffin, staring straight at the mysterious woman in front of him with a pair of deep sea blue eyes. The brain is a little chaotic, vaguely remembering what happened before being sealed. Confused, he glanced at the surrounding environment. Blood red Lillian? These bastards actually sealed themselves in the Lillian world. No wonder I fell asleep for a whole 100 years. Lillian world is the most hidden place in the vampire world. This is an illusion. Even people with high magic power may not necessarily find him here. But the girl in front of her not only stepped here easily, but even awakened herself who had been sleeping for 100 years. Who is she? A new female slave in the vampire world, but from the looks of it, she didn't seem to belong to the world of vampires. Who are you? Who are you? Why did you appear here? The cold voice was like the Satan of hell, and that exquisite face, as handsome as a monster, suddenly approached Lillian without any precautions. The dark blue eyes directly faced the fiery red eyes of Lillian, brows frowned slightly inadvertently. Chapter 3 Suddenly resurrected monster man. She is human, but he has the most noble pure blood in the vampire world. There are also those fiery red eyes. The beauty is like fire. It seems that everything will be burned up, but when a group of burning flames faced a pool of stagnant water without waves, the charm of Lillian can't exert its best effect. Ah, scared me to death. Are you a fake corpse? Please, can't you give someone a hint before you speak? Don't you know that scaring people can scare people to death? How rude, cut. Lillian patted her chest in fear, and followed her breathing. He stepped back his body. After making sure that he was within a safe range, he raised his eyes and carefully observed the enchanting man who suddenly resurrected in front of him. White. To say that he is a monster is simply a disaster. With this appearance, if you throw it on the street casually, it may cause traffic paralysis on several streets. Before meeting this enchanting man, Lillian discovered that all the popular idol groups are handsome guys. But after seeing this man today, I realized it. Those handsome guys are just clouds, slightly evil facial features, seductive peach blossom eyes, dark blue eyes, exuding a charming aura, thin lips that are even more evil, a seductive and handsome boy with an Asura-like temperament. Could it be that this is the legendary elf boy? Did this first prize really make him catch up? Are you His Royal Highness the Elven Prince? Wow, you are really, really handsome. Handsome guy. Do you have a home? If you don't have a home, I'll take you in. Lillian smiled foolishly, drooling all over the floor. There is no way. She is born to be a nympho. Especially this kind of top-notch handsome guy. Anyone who sees it will feel pity. Answer my question. Who are you? How did you get in here? The boy's eyes narrowed slightly, and suddenly, he was as cold as ice. He no longer had the patience to mess with the human girl in front of him too much. Human beings are human beings. Stupid and simple, looking at those flaming red eyes. He couldn't stop feeling upset, if it weren't for the fact that what was flowing in her body was the noblest pure blood in the vampire world. He had already clicked her and buried her directly in the obsidian coffin behind him. Of course I'm a human. If I'm not a human, wouldn't I still be a ghost? As for why I'm here, well, I'm also curious. By the way, how do we go back? Lillian's brain short-circuited and looked at the sea of flowers around her. Here you can't see the edge at a glance. It seems that there is no exit or entrance to be found. Strange. How did I get into this mysterious sea of flowers? Nah. Take off the ring on your hand and return it to me, then disappear from my eyes as soon as possible. The enchanting man pointed to the obsidian skull ring that was shining on the ringed finger of Lillian. The fundus of the eyes is full of depth. This woman is not ordinary bold. She actually put her most important skull ring on her own finger. That was an important sign of him as a noble earl. If the ring is lost, it will not be so easy to return to the vampire world. But there was one thing that really puzzled him. Skull rings have always only recognized their own owners. No one else had ever been able to get that ring off his hand, not to mention wearing it on someone else's hand. Could it be that he has been asleep for 100 years, and the skeleton is also a stranger to him? The Chapter 4 Can You Not Die? Hey, I'm so sorry. I think this ring is too dazzling, so I took it off and wore it for a while without your permission. Wait, I'll take it off and return it to you. Lillian stuck out her tongue in embarrassment and immediately went to take off the ring on her ring finger. After all, this is someone's personal property, and this ring looks so beautiful and unique. It must have cost a lot of money to buy. If I keep refusing to return it to others, I will definitely be considered an unscrupulous thief by this handsome guy. I'll pick. Huh? It can't be taken off? Lillian raised her eyes in astonishment and looked at the handsome guy in a daze. Is this the case of a horse? I really just want to try it on. She, Lillian, could swear to the lamp that she definitely put all her strength into picking that ring. But the skull ring on the ring finger just emitted a burst of strong red light. No matter how hard Lillian exerted herself, she still held it there intact, refusing to move at all. Hey, handsome guy. It doesn't seem to be willing to come down. What should I do? I can't just chop off my finger for this ring. Can I? Lillian looked innocently at the seductive man with a pale face. She's going crazy. She can't take off the ring. What can she do? Why don't you go home and get soapy water to try? Handsome guy. I think so. You have just been reborn from the coffin, so you must not have any relatives or friends. Why don't you go and live with me? We will slowly study how to take it down. You think this is a good idea, right? Lillian's eyes twinkled with light. In fact, she wanted to abduct the enchanting man in front of her to her home. This fat water does not flow into the field of outsiders. Maybe the two of them can cultivate their relationship and make this handsome guy fall in love with him. Anyway, he is now homeless, and I just want to help him out of good intentions. But Lillian's good intentions not only did not get him any thanks from the enchanting man, instead, it made him more irritable. It's fine if you can't take it off. Anyway, a dead person won't feel anything if he chops off his finger. The enchanting man's eyes darkened, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. Trembling, Lillian looked at this handsome guy in disbelief. You don't have to be so ruthless to play ruthless, right? He just wore his ring for a while, but he actually wanted to kill her. Anyway, they also met in the romantic sea of flowers. Even if romantic love doesn't ferment, it doesn't need to lead to bloody tragedy, right? Brother, you don't have to be so desperate. It's fate that we met here, right? I'll try to pick it off for you right now. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be impatient. Looking at the handsome face that was getting more and more gloomy, Lillian didn't dare to be negligent, and immediately used her right hand to ruthlessly stroke the ever-glowing ring. If a handsome guy wants to show off his power, the consequences will be serious. Lillian would not honorably sacrifice her precious life because of a handsome guy and a ring. Whispering, "You must die," the enchanting man had reached the limit of his patience. His slender eyes narrowed slightly, and a blood-red light flashed across the blue bottom of his eyes. Two big hands pinched Lillian's slender and tender neck mercilessly.